"Get off my land. You don't belong here." That's what she screamed before dialing the cops. On me, mind you, before I'd even unpacked my boxes. This lady, the self-appointed queen of the HOA next door, somehow decided my little cabin out on the edge, not even in her neighborhood, by the way, was a threat to her authority. One minute, I'm just sipping coffee in peace, watching sunlight drift through the oaks, and the next, I'm apparently some kind of criminal for owning property she can't control. Funny, looking back. At the time, though, every car door outside made me wonder if she was watching, waiting. Ever had someone try to turn your peace into a war zone? Just because they could? Yeah, that happened. I'm curious, what would you have done if it were you? Let me back up a sec, give you a little context. I'm 32, GIS specialist for the state. That's Geographic Information Systems. I make and analyze digital maps for a living, tracking property boundaries and land records. Kind of ironic, really. You'd think, of all people, I'd never get caught in a property mess. But all I wanted was somewhere quiet, a place to work from home, no city chaos, just the hum of wind and birds. So I spent months scouring listings, driving weekends into the countryside. Even before I moved in, though, I'd catch glimpses of a silver SUV idling near the intersection. Same spot, engine running. Sometimes you can just feel when you're being watched. Finally, I found this cabin. Old, sturdy, built in the 50s from solid oak. Felt like it was carrying the fingerprints of 3 generations. The hardwood floors creaked with history. Best part? Edge of the forest, with sun pouring gold through ancient branches, nothing but wind and the promise of quiet. It looked perfect, and, being me, I double-checked everything. Surveys, county maps, the whole GIS database. Hired an independent surveyor, had my lawyer comb through the paperwork. My place was clearly, indisputably outside the HOA's boundary. No rules, no committees, just freedom. First week, it really did feel like paradise. Mornings on the porch, coffee and emails. Met a few neighbors. Old couple who'd lived here forever, wildlife photographer for National Geographic, a retired park ranger who could name every bird by its call. Folks here seemed genuine, welcoming even. But that peace didn't last long. Because one Saturday, this woman comes striding up my driveway, heels clicking, hair done up like she'd just left a salon, navy blue business suit sharp enough to cut glass. That was my introduction to Deborah Pierce. She introduces herself, president of the Meadowbrook HOA. Doesn't ask how I'm settling in. Instead, she wants to know if I have proper authorization to live here, like I'm some squatter. I pull out my stack of legal docs, show her survey maps, boundary lines. She barely glances at them, already irritated. Starts asking about my long-term plans, community standards, how I'll protect the environment. It's like being interrogated by the principal in high school, condescending, relentless. I try to explain, politely, that I'm not under her jurisdiction. I do this for a living. The more I talk, the tighter her smile gets, like she's swallowing nails. She finally stands up, looks me dead in the eye and says, "We'll see about that." I wish I could say I laughed. Instead, a chill slid down my back. For a few days, I convinced myself it'd blow over. Maybe she'd check my paperwork, realize I was legit, and move on. Wrong. So wrong. Next thing I know, she's out there photographing my cabin from the boundary with a telephoto lens, not even pretending to hide it. Claims she's conducting an environmental impact assessment for the HOA. I point out, again, that I'm outside her territory. She just gives me this icy smile. Responsible stewardship transcends property lines, she says, like she's quoting some HOA manifesto. Next, an HOA truck blocks my driveway, driver muttering about tree trimming. Yeah, right. Then comes the letter. Official city stationery, complete with seals and warnings. Someone's filed an environmental complaint, accusing me of dumping wastewater, altering drainage, threatening local habitat. All of it fake. I spend hours compiling proof, inspection reports, maps, everything. The city eventually backs off, but Deborah isn't done. City planners show up just to check if my structures meet code, asking all the same pointed questions. They mention a concerned HOA president. No prizes for guessing who. By now, I'm keeping my own records, photos of Deborah's surveillance, logs of every incident. Then I get a notice from the county council. There's a proposal to expand the HOA boundary for environmental protection. Guess whose property just happens to fall inside the new line? Deborah stands at the podium in that same navy suit, smiling for the council, talking about the urgent need for oversight. Slides and charts, all rehearsed. The council nods, eats it up. I stand to object, calm, factual, stating my rights. But Deborah steamrolls right over me, painting me as the reckless troublemaker. Council votes to move her proposal forward. It gets weirder. A company called Green Future Solutions reaches out, says my property is perfect for a solar development project. How'd they get my number? Turns out, they're working with the Meadowbrook HOA to identify suitable land. They want me to sign a partnership agreement. I say no. They hint, pretty bluntly, that if the new HOA rules go through, I might have to play ball. I start digging and discover Green Future Solutions has a history, partnering with HOAs, using new regulations to pressure property owners, all with environmental language as cover. But then comes the real twist. I pull up the digital boundary records, my world, my work. And there it is, someone's quietly shifted property lines in the GIS system. Elevation points tweaked, boundary markers nudged, all of it looking official, except it isn't. The changes are just subtle enough to seem plausible, but blatant when you know what to look for. Whoever did this knows GIS. Really knows it. I trace the data trails, find out the altered files were uploaded from a consulting firm called Ecotech Analytics. Newly registered, fake staff photos, virtual office. Total front. And when I follow the money, bank ledgers, company filings, it all loops right back to Deborah. She's a silent partner in both the energy company and the consulting firm. Suddenly, it's clear, the environmental crusade is a cover for a money grab. HOA expansion, forced development deals, fake assessments, all funneling profit into her accounts. The scope is way bigger than I imagined. My cabin is just the latest move in a years-long scheme. I decide to fight back, but this time smart. I install monitoring sensors, soil, air, water, wildlife, logging every change, every trespass. Bulletproof evidence. Then I reach out to a retired county engineer, Marcus Chun, who'd worked on the original maps. Turns out, he'd saved copies of everything, including correspondence showing when and how the boundaries were manipulated. He'd kept it, just in case. Now, he hands it all over to me. With Marcus data, my own records, and a growing stack of evidence, I put together a case, a full package for the Attorney General, State Protection Agency, even the FBI. Every email, every fake report, every dollar traced, every boundary alteration, organized and mapped out. They launch a joint investigation, and I get a call from Special Agent Martinez, Environmental Crimes Unit. Would you be willing to present your findings at a joint agency review? She asks. You know what I mean? I almost laugh. The moment is finally here. Deborah walks into the county chamber, thinking she's there to sell her latest expansion. Instead, she faces a panel of state and federal investigators. She gives her polished speech. Then I stand up, show the twin maps, real versus forged, lines moving, evidence building. Even the least technical person in the room sees it. Deborah tries to bluster, claims misunderstanding. Martinez introduces herself, lays out the charges, fraud, conspiracy, racketeering. Marshals come in, and for the first time, Deborah can't control the narrative. She's handcuffed, silent, paraded past the projector screen where her own fake data still glows. That's closure, right there. It all unravels fast. Investigators raid the offices of Ecotech Analytics and Green Future Solutions, indict county officials, bring other victims forward. Deborah's empire collapses. She pleads out, 12 years in federal prison, nearly $1 million in restitution, lifetime ban from land use work. The county reforms its review process, implements public mapping, and, wildest of all, brings me on as a consultant to help design it. The neighborhood heals. Even the folks who once avoided me start dropping by with pies and apologies. But the real payoff? My home, once a battleground, is now a model for honest stewardship. The monitoring system is a research hub, proof that the land is protected, not just for me, but for everyone. And the story? It spreads, becomes a training case, a warning, a beacon for anyone facing this kind of abuse. My cabin is stronger than the empire that tried to crush it. And the forest? It remembers. Every tree, every shadow, part of the story now. Maybe the lesson is that truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs stubborn people who refuse to let go. So, what do you think? Was I right to fight? Ever tangled with power like that? Drop your thoughts below. I'd love to hear how you see it. Justice, overreach, or something in between. Because, honestly, I'm still learning too. Thanks for sticking with me through this mess. Your voice matters, maybe more than you know.